Okay, so you ready to dive into this whole zoo section leader thing?
Absolutely. Should be pretty
Yeah,
fascinating.
you've given us a ton of material on it, so we know you're not just here for the cute animal pictures.
Definitely not.
We're talking about real responsibility, leadership, not to mention working with some pretty incredible creatures.
It's a lot more than people realize.
Right. So much more than just cuddling pandas, haha.
Yeah, not a whole lot of that, actually.
So let's break it down. What does a zoo section leader actually do?
Well, it's a really unique blend of skills. You need that deep animal expertise, of
Right.
course.
You got to know your elephants from your emus.
Exactly. But you're also managing a team of zookeepers.
Oh, right. So you're dealing with people management too.
Yeah, it's a big part of the job.
Mm,
And then there's the budget management side of things, which often surprises
no,
people.
seriously. Budgeting too.
Oh, yeah. You're often responsible for managing resources for your section, making sure the animals have what they need. It's like being the CEO of your own little animal kingdom.
I love that. And one of the things that really struck me reading through all this was the leadership aspect.
Absolutely.
It's not just about caring for animals. It's about shaping the vision for their care and their future.
100%.
Like in that RoleCatcher Career Guide you sent over, they emphasize that zoo section leaders are responsible for the long-term well-being of the species and their exhibits,
It's a huge responsibility.
thinking about conservation, breeding programs, all of that.
And that's a really important point. Zoos are evolving. It's not just about showcasing animals anymore.
Totally.
It's about actively participating in their conservation, and that takes a special kind of leader.
And the technology involved these days, wow.
It's incredible how tech is changing everything.
Yeah, we saw stuff about facial recognition software to track individual animals, data analysis for breeding programs.
He's amazing.
It's like high-tech meets wildlife.
Exactly. And a zoo section leader needs to be comfortable with all of that, implementing new technology, making sure the team's trained on it.
It's a lot to handle. So to be clear, this isn't just some cushy job where you get to hang out with cute animals all day.
Uh-huh. No, not quite.
There's a lot more to it than meets the eye.
You could say that again.
Speaking of which, let's talk about the work environment itself.
Okay, sure.
Because it's not your typical office job, is it?
Not even close.
You're out there with the elements, dealing with all sorts of creatures. It must be pretty wild.
It definitely has its moments. Wild is a good word for it. It's definitely not your average desk job, that's for sure.
So paint us a picture. What's it really like working in a zoo environment?
Well, for starters, you're outside a lot. Rain or shine, hot or cold, you're out there with the animals.
Yeah, I imagine those summer days can get pretty intense.
Oh, yeah, scorching. But then you get those crisp mornings where the animals are super active, and it's pretty magical.
I bet. And it's physically demanding too, right?
Oh, absolutely. You're hauling feed bags, cleaning enclosures, sometimes navigating some pretty rough terrain.
Not for the faint of heart then.
No, you gotta be willing to work hard, that's for sure. And not just physically, but emotionally, too.
That's something we saw a lot about in the research, the emotional roller coaster of working with animals,
Yeah, it's a unique kind of challenge.
celebrating births, dealing with illnesses, constantly advocating for their well-being.
It takes a toll, for sure. You get really attached to these animals, and it's tough when things go wrong.
Makes sense. So resilience is key in this line of work.
Definitely. You need to be able to bounce back from setbacks, celebrate the wins, and keep advocating for those animals.
It sounds like a demanding but incredibly rewarding career path.
It really is. There's nothing quite like it.
Okay, so for someone listening who's thinking, hey, I want to be a zoo section leader, where do they even begin?
Right, where do you start? Well, it's usually not a straight shot to the top.
No overnight zookeeper sensations.
Uh-huh. Not usually. The RoleCatcher Guide talked about that, how most people start at the bottom as entry-level zookeepers.
So getting your hands dirty, literally.
Exactly.
Cleaning, feeding, the not-so-glamorous stuff.
It's all part of the learning experience.
I guess you got to learn to walk before you can wrangle a rhinoceros.
Something like that. But even at that entry level, you're gaining valuable experience. You're learning how to care for the animals, assisting with medical treatment.
Getting to know the ins and outs of zoo life.
Exactly. You're also learning about enrichment programs, keeping the animals stimulated and engaged.
Right, like puzzle boxes for primates, that kind of thing.
Yeah, stuff like that. And you might even get involved with educating visitors, talking to them about the animals and conservation efforts.
So you're developing those people skills too.
It's all connected.
You're not just an animal expert, you're becoming a zoo expert.
Exactly.
Okay, so you've put in your time as an entry-level zookeeper. What's the next rung on this career ladder?
Well, typically you'd move up to a senior zookeeper position. That's where you start taking on more responsibility.
Ah, so you've proven yourself. Now what?
Now you might be training newer keepers, sharing your expertise.
Sharing the wisdom you've earned mucking out those enclosures.
Exactly. And you might start collaborating on those long-term species management plans we talked about.
Big picture stuff.
Yep. You might even get involved in budgeting for your section, making sure everything runs smoothly.
There's that budget management again. It really is like running your own little kingdom,
It is.
but with more monkeys.
Haha, exactly. And as you gain even more experience and knowledge, you might eventually become an assistant zoo section leader.
So you're moving up in the world.
That's right. Now you're working directly under a section leader, taking on more managerial duties.
More responsibility, higher stakes.
You got it. You might be developing long-term plans for your section, coordinating resources, getting involved in larger conservation initiatives.
It's quite a journey climbing that ladder. But it makes you wonder, what about formal education?
Right? What do you actually need on your resume?
Like, is it enough to just, I don't know, love animals? Or do you need a fancy degree to even get your foot in the door?
Haha. Well, a love for animals definitely helps, but you're going to need a bit more than that.
Okay, so what are we talking about?
Usually a bachelor's degree is the minimum.
In what, zoology?
Yeah, zoology, biology, animal science, something in that realm.
Makes sense.
But to really stand out, a master's degree can be a game changer.
Especially if you're aiming for those leadership roles.
Exactly. Shows that extra level of commitment and expertise.
And what about those certifications I kept hearing about?
The Certified Zoo Professional.
Yes, that's the one. What's the deal with that?
That's a big one. The CZP. It's highly regarded in the industry.
So it's like a stamp of approval saying, this person knows their stuff.
Exactly. It demonstrates a real commitment to professional development, a deep understanding of zoo best practices.
Well, I can see why that would be important.
Oh, for sure. And there are more specialized certifications, too.
Really? Like what?
You can get certified in wildlife biology, animal behavior, even exhibit design. It all depends on your interests.
So you can really tailor your expertise. Say you're fascinated by, I don't know, gorilla communication or something.
You can actually specialize in that. Become a go-to expert in primate behavior.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's about finding your niche and becoming that invaluable asset to a zoo team.
Makes sense. But okay, let's say you've got the qualifications, you've got the experience,
You're ready for the hot seat.
the interview. You mentioned they can be pretty tough.
Yeah, they're known for throwing some curveball questions your way.
The ones designed to make you sweat, even if you've been practicing your answers for weeks.
Exactly. But don't worry, we've got you covered.
Oh, thank goodness.
The RoleCatcher guide had some examples of those common but tricky interview questions.
Lay it on us. What kind of curveball are we talking about?
Well, they might ask something like, imagine two zookeepers are butting heads over the best way to care for an animal.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, how would you approach that situation? They want to see those leadership skills, your conflict resolution tactics.
So it's not just about knowing your animal facts.
Nope. You got to know how to handle those interpersonal dynamics, too.
It's like managing a whole other species sometimes. Humans.
Tell me about it. Another one they might throw at you is, describe a time you had to make a really difficult decision regarding an animal's welfare.
Ooh, that's a heavy one.
It is. They want to see how you handle those ethical dilemmas. Make sure you can prioritize the animal's well-being, even under pressure.
So being prepared for those kinds of questions is key.
Absolutely. And preparation goes beyond just memorizing facts about animals.
Okay, so what else should someone be doing to get ready?
Stay updated, read those industry journals, go to conferences, know what's new in animal care and conservation.
Network with other zoo professionals.
Exactly. The more you know, the more confident you'll be.
So continuous learning is crucial. The zoo world is constantly evolving, right?
Absolutely. New discoveries, new challenges, it's always changing.
So to wrap things up, it sounds like becoming a zoo section leader is a rewarding but demanding path.
It certainly is.
It's about more than just loving animals.
It's about dedication, leadership, and a willingness to constantly learn and grow.
It's about using your skills and passion to make a real difference in the lives of these incredible creatures.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, there you have it. Our deep dive into the world of zoo section leaders. From the daily grind to the big picture stuff, we've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
Hopefully, this has given you a glimpse into this fascinating and ever-evolving field. And who knows, maybe we've inspired a future zoo section leader or two out there.
I hope so.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep advocating for the incredible creatures that share our planet.